Hi, welcome to another Figma tutorial. Today we are going to design this music player web app. So background I'm going to use ellipse and let's draw a few ellipse. For this one let's make it purple, pink, red, and let's use this pink. Now select these and make it group. Let's go to effects, and inside effects let's use layer blur, and here we will just use 200. So let's see. So let's drop the opacity to 50%, maybe something like this is looking good. Let's place one here. Okay, so this is our background. Now I'm going to create the sidebar. So for the sidebar I'm going to select rectangle tool, which is the R key, and let's create the sidebar. So for the width I'm going to use 180, and for the color let's make it dark. Let's drop the opacity to 80% for right now, and for the stroke I'm going to use this gradient, and let's use outside. Also let's make this stroke is 50%, and let's rotate the gradient something like this. I have already created the logo, so let's select the logo, and now it's time to convert it to component. Now copy the logo and place inside the music player artboard, something like this. Let's zoom in. From the top we will use 40, and from the left side let's use 20. 40 20. Now select type tool again, and let's type library. So this is the heading of menu, and let's choose 14 expanded bold. Now let's create a sub menu, and the first one is trend, and let's use 12 semi bold. Leave the color white for right now. I have already created the icon, so let's copy this icon and paste inside the artboard. Now select both and convert it to auto layout, something like this. So let's select the master component and let's resize it to 16. So the child is already updated, and for this spacing let's use 8. I think instead of semi-bold let's use medium. Now let's duplicate this, and okay, this one is artist and albums. Okay, now let's reduce the spacing. For the artist we will use this icon. Let's copy this one, and now let's right click, paste to replace, and let's update the album. Select all these menu item and convert it to auto layout. Let's use 16 for right now. Okay, let's select rectangle tool and let's make it 99, and select the base. So we will use subtract selection. Let's use flatten selection and select both this corner and make it C15. So this is our selected state, and let's increase. Let's send it to back. So okay, let's align this with the title, also the logo. So from the right let's use 40, and let's duplicate this, and let's create the second menu. Okay, so for this one let's use discover, and for the trend icon let's make it red, so it is selected. And for this sub let's use 75 opacity, and this one is also 75. Let's create auto layout for this one, and for the spacing let's use 24. This one is also need to be slightly up, something like this. So for search bar we need to select text tool and let's use 12 medium. Let's use search icon, this one 16. Paste it inside the artboard. Now select both, convert it to auto layout. Let's use 32 from left and right and 16 from top and bottom. Roundness complete round. And for the fill, let's try this dark one. For stroke, let's use the gradient. For the padding, let's make it 8. We don't want to make it too much prominent. Let's make this one slightly darker. And for the stroke, 50. Okay, so for the search and icon, let's use 50. Okay, let's try this one and make it X. For the left and right, 16. So this is our search bar. So for this stroke, let's drop the purple opacity to 0. So something like this. Okay, for the fill, I think let's make it black and also make this one. For the main banner, let's duplicate this type and let's place it 64 from this menu bar, and let's type this one trending. Let's copy this icon, paste here. Maybe we can place it here. Let's select both. Let's use, I think 8 is good. Center. This is our title. Now we are going to create a hero slider. So for this we need to select a rectangle tool and let's make it 512 to 56. For the roundness, let's use 20, something like this. Now let's duplicate this, assign color to these rectangles so we can easily understand what's going on. So let's make this one red. So this is the top one. For this one, let's use purple. Okay, now select a purple and let's add 32 the width, and for the height let's minus 32. Again, let's duplicate this one and let's bring this one to the bottom. Let's make this one to light pink. Again, let's add plus 32 and minus 32. Now select both these three rectangle and center line. This is a perfect slider. So now we need to make small dots for the scrolling. So let's create this one. Now select the ellipse tool. So let's lock this and make it 4, which is very small. So let's duplicate this 5 times. Okay, now let's select these one and create auto layout. For the spacing, let's use 16. For the middle one, let's make it white, and for this one and the last one, let's make it 50 or maybe 25. For this one, let's use 50. So something like this. Okay, now let's place it maybe 32. Also select top and bottom arrow, copy this one, paste inside the artboard, and let's place it here. Let's make this one is 50 also. So something like this. Let's bring this one to the bottom, align it here. Okay, now let's duplicate this title and place it 64. Let's copy the artist icon and paste to replace. Change the color to something different, maybe this light color. For the slider, I have already downloaded the images downloaded from pixels.com. I will just copy these images and right click and select paste to replace. Now let's align the search bar to the left side, something like this. Okay, now let's create the title and subtitle and the heart favorite icon here. So let's create this. Okay, so for the title we just need to duplicate first image, command D, and let's resize this to maybe 80 and let's align it to the bottom. For the radius we don't need to the top and left and right. Okay, and now let's add solid fill this dark color. Let's unlink and reduce the opacity to 50%. Now go to effects, use background blur. Okay, here we just need to type 50. Now let's type the text. Now duplicate this. Okay, now select both and convert it to auto layout. For the spacing, let's use 4. For the top title, let's use 20 expanded, and for the subtext, let's use 12 regular and make it 50%. Let's use 32 and 16. For the add to favorite, to select ellipse and let's click. Now make it, let's say 40 by 40, and let's use 32 from the right side. Now select the heart shape, this one. Let's paste it here. Maybe we can make it 24 by 24. Now let's make it dark, and for the heart let's make it color in maybe this red. Now let's unlink this and make it 50%. Add stroke. For the stroke we can use gradient, and for the gradient 25. Now let's create top artist section. Select rectangle tool and now just click. So Figma by default create 100 by 100 rectangle, so let's make it 140 by 200. For the roundness let's use 16 and let's place it here 32. Now let's assign this color. Now select ellipse tool and create 100 by 100 rectangle. 20 by 20. Okay, now let's create title. Okay, now let's create component, and now let's duplicate this. So 16 by 16. Let's for this one let's make it purple. For this one let's make it red, and let's make it light. To resize the image size, like instead of 100 we will use 80 by 80. Now let's center line. We can use 16. Okay, so the card is ready. Now it's time to place images inside card. So let's copy this image and paste to replace. Now copy the second image. Okay, so the card is ready. Right sidebar, let's duplicate this background and align it to the right side. Okay, so let's increase the width 364. Let's zoom in and select, press enter key and select pin tool, press option key and remove these points. So this is the BG of the right sidebar. Okay, so let's create dark mode icon and notification icon and the user image. So for this we need to select ellipse and let's resize it to 32 by 32. Now let's duplicate this. Okay, now let's select the first icon, apply gradient, and also on the stroke apply the same gradient. Now let's unlink both stroke. For the fill let's use 25% and for the stroke let's use 50%. Same for the second one, and for this we need to fill the user image. So first icon is the moon and second is notification. Let's copy both icons and paste it here. So first one is the mode icon and the second one is notification. Let's align it. For now I'm going to use group, so let's group these and create auto layout. For the spacing let's use 16 and from the right let's use 32 pixels. Let's align it 40. Just duplicate this. Let's use 40. I'm using first letter will be capital. Currently playing. Okay. Now let's change the icon to this one. Paste to replace and apply gradient. So for the card, let's create rectangle with the same width, and now let's minus 40 pixel on the right side and 40 pixel on the left side. So let's minus 80. Let's make it 16. For the color I'm going to use this gradient, and for the stroke same gradient. Let's unlink, and now let's try 25%. I think it's looking good. For the height right now let's leave it like this, and again let's select ellipse tool. Let's try 64 for now. Let's try 32. This light red color, and make it 50%. Copy the same icon, place it here. Maybe we can use dark. Yes, something like this. Let's make it 32 by 32. Let's reduce the opacity 50%. For the stroke let's try the same red. Let's use 25. And for the color I think we need to apply this red color so it's more prominent. Let's type. Now select both, convert it to auto layout, and now select these both title and text, center it and center line. For the gap let's use 8, and for this let's make it 50% transparent. Decrease. Let's see if it is 32. Yeah, 32. It's looking good. So this is the playing music card. Let's make it 16. Okay, so let's make this icon to same the red color, and for this one let's apply gradient, some rainbow effect, and for the stroke also same gradient, and let's make it try 50%. It's looking good. Okay, now let's duplicate this. We will use 32. Again select the same rectangle and make it smaller, something like 64 maybe. Let's change the color to dark, and let's make it 50%. For the border let's try 50%. Let's select ellipse again, and let's make it 40, and for the left and right let's use 12 by 12, and here we just need to type. Let's make it 12 semi bold. Let's make this one 10 regular. Let's make it 50%. Select both, and for the spacing let's use 4, and let's align it. Okay, so now let's improve this section. First thing is to copy this, and maybe we can just drag copy. This is the song duration, and let's place it maybe 32. Maybe let's use 20 or 16. Let's center align it. Now let's duplicate this with the spacing of 8, and duplicate this with maybe one more time. Okay, now let's select this row, make it 100%. Let's make it this red, remove the stroke, and also copy this icon and paste it here, place it here, something like this. Now resize it, make it small, so it's indicate that this song is playing right now. Now let's update proper naming. Now let's copy the images, paste to replace, and paste it here. Let's align it, make it 64, and let's make it bring to front. So let's duplicate this. Let's make it to the center. Okay, so I have done few changes, like here I just put a link for the view all. Now it's time to work on the main player section, which music player. So let's create this. First we need to select rectangle. Let's align it to the bottom, something like this. And for the height, let's say 96 and something like this. So let's make this rectangle dark and unlink. Let's drop the opacity and go to effect, select background blur, and here we'll just type 50. Let's drop the opacity to 50, something like this. I think if we can add stroke, look more smooth. Select outside. Let's try, I think we can try our gradient, but the gradient is okay. Let's unlink this and let's make it left to right, something like this. So okay, now let's grab the icons which I have already created. So let's copy these icons, let's paste it here. So the first icon is, we are going to place this icon. Let's make it, instead of this, let's use this one. Let's try 64. For the color, let's use gradient, yeah, something like this. And let's place this icon next to previous icons. And for the spacing, let's use 16 and align it. Now let's drop the opacity to 50%. This icon will be here, so again 50. Select these three icons and bring here. I think let's try this red color. Let's see, I think the red is more vibrant, so let's use it. And also let's try gradient for this section, 25%. Let's see, and I think let's make it white. Now let's select rectangle tool. Let's make 99 round, and for the height let's use 8. Now let's select this text and make it 75, less opaque, and let's copy this icon, this text, sorry, and paste it here and bring it. Okay, now 430. Now let's drop the opacity to 25 and let's duplicate this, make it 100%, place it here. Let's use this red color. Now group this and duplicate it, something like this, and now let's bring it to here. So this is our sound progress, and this is our music bar. But let's see if red is working. Let's use the red. Let's bring this section maybe somewhere here, something like. Now let's select this one and let's see if it distribute. Let's group this, bring it here, something like this. I think it's done. Let's try to add dark. Let's make it 80%, and let's bring the opacity, and let's try 50%, and for the background blur let's try 100. I think it's looking good. Okay, so this was the today tutorial. Hope you like it. If you like it, let me know in the comments, and see you in the next tutorial.